Hello and welcome. Thank you for checking out this session where we'll focus on how data, AI, and personalization can really drive significant business impact within learning and development. So for the next 15 or so minutes, we'll explore different strategies you can use to leverage these technologies and enhance learning experiences and outcomes, particularly for teams in life sciences and healthcare sectors. This session is ultimately designed to provide you with insights into how you can transform your learning functions to be more data-driven, more personalized, with the ultimate goal of improving performance and engagement for your learners. My name is Natasha. I'm a Senior Manager of Client Experience at Metrix, and I'll be the one guiding you through how data and AI can really revolutionize learning. And I'll share a little bit more about how our combined expertise here at Metrix really supports that innovative learning, again, tailored to the life sciences sector. So I just want to quickly start off by telling you about who we are. Metrix is an agency that's been focused on designing next-gen learning solutions that drive behavior change, and we've been doing that for about 35 years. So that means we've seen a lot of the changes that have impacted the industry, of course, with AI and data being some of the more recent shifts. And we know that trying to truly innovate with things like data and personalization can feel a little bit like crossing a desert in search of water. In other words, it's been really hard to make meaningful progress, so much so that these terms have almost become buzzwords in the industry. But the AI boom has really inspired us to aim big in L&D. So we have much clearer steps towards how we can make data and personalization a reality. And this is really exciting because imagine the transformative potential if learning and development could truly offer personalized experiences, N equals 1 to every employee. So this is a reality today. With data and AI, we can not only do things like tailor learning paths for each individual learner, we can demonstrate business impact, measurable business impact at every stage. So a shift like this could really redefine the value that L&D brings to organizations. In other words, making them a much more strategic driver of performance and growth. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. But in order to get to that future, to that new reality that we're aiming for, we need to strengthen 3 pillars: data, AI, and personalization. The good thing is that they're very interconnected. So data forms, of course, the foundation. It provides us detailed insights into, learner demographics, behaviors, preferences. AI is the engine. It's the tool that we use to rapidly analyze data, to identify patterns and predict learning needs. And obviously, you don't need now a degree in data and analytics to do this. AI is the tool that makes it really accessible for everybody. And then lastly, personalization. This is the outcome. It's where learning experiences are really tailored to individual profiles with, again, the goal of optimizing engagement and learning effectiveness. So today's talk, for the next 10 or so minutes, we are going to spend more time focusing on data because the more that we work with our clients in this capacity, the more that we see that data is that critical foundation. We need to have a good plan for it in order to achieve that future that we're looking for. And I know that each person listening is going to be at a different stage of maturity when it comes to data. So I am going to lean a little bit more foundational, but I do hope there is something in here for everyone. So I'm going to bring this down to a very practical level and look at how data could be used to strengthen something like onboarding, for example. So personalizing an onboarding experience, of course, involves continuous design, continuous improvement, ultimately informed by diverse data sources. So an early onboarding program might use HRIS data. It could use baseline assessments to tailor, the experience. As onboarding is continuing, you're going to start to use activity data, assessment data, and even manager feedback to just guide little tweaks and adjustments. And then finally, of course, sales performance and attrition data can help us communicate the impact and just better refine our onboarding experience for new hires. Again, ultimately with the goal of driving performance and retention at the organizational level. So here's an example of the outcomes of one of our programs that we delivered recently, where we had data at the forefront of design and development and implementation, of course. So imagine if you could report to your stakeholders this kind of impact data on the regular, being able to really ground it in the benefits to the business. And then imagine that each time you refine your onboarding program, you can continuously improve the impact it's having. It's a win-win for everybody, because what this allows you is not just the ability to promote L&D to your business stakeholders, which of course we all want to do, but it also allows you to become even more of a proactive consultant to the business. So you now have the ability to make stronger recommendations. Could be things like, for new hires who have previous TA experience, we can reduce the onboarding time for them by X%. Or, with this program, for an investment of Y, we typically see a lift or return of Z. So this type of data is really important. But to get to that impact that we're talking about, unified data is critical for leveraging AI and personalization effectively, because the data that we mentioned all comes from different sources and platforms. So there are two ways that organizations are doing this right now. One is through enterprise data warehouses, or EDW for short, where they store cleaned, structured data that's ideal for reporting. With AI, we're now seeing more commonly data lakes that hold raw, diverse data types, but with more variable quality. So understanding the types of repositories can help organizations just better manage data quality, as well as integration challenges, ultimately with the goal of supporting advanced learning analytics. I'll level set. I know that for some, this ideal future that we're working towards can feel a little like a sci-fi movie in nature. And that's because there are a lot of challenges, especially for large global organizations. And I do appreciate that. We do want to recognize that. Because ultimately you can't, going back a slide, here are some of the common barriers that we see across different people, processes, and tools. So we know that some challenges include things like limited data literacy, just a general resistance to change, siloed departments, lack of collaboration with IT and marketing. Could be that you just simply have an unclear data governance structure or some fragmented data systems. Overcoming these requires addressing the cultural, procedural, and technology hurdles that exist at the organization in order for you to unlock the full potential of data and AI. So on this slide, we're just breaking down how you can get to this future, and it can happen in phases. So here we're suggesting 3 stages for building that data fluency within your organization or function. And that starts with the foundational step, which is focusing on creating, or rather establishing the core concepts that your team needs, but also just generally shifting mindsets. So yes, it starts with establishing, basic concepts in terms of data and AI, but also being able to pull that new learning, that new knowledge into the role. So that could be through collaborating with different teams on data, could be connecting that data back to business outcomes. The next phase is applied practice. So this is where we start to bring in more tools and methods into the story. We can start to get a bit more advanced. Now we're talking about leveraging dashboards and analytics platforms. And once we have that, we can start doing more of the strategic integration work, which is where we want to be. And to do that, we're going to have to focus on culture and impact. So that means creating a culture where learners and your teams and users are embedding data thinking in every project, where we're starting to shift behaviors to be more evidence-driven and encourage the business to adopt a stronger data architecture. So we're going to suggest a few different options of how you can move your data capabilities forward that will hopefully feel within reach to you. The first can be something as simple as just reimagining surveys and assessments, because it's really amazing how well-designed surveys backed by a data strategy can really deepen the level of insights that you get. And this could be even something like a simple pre and post training survey that, if done properly, can yield really great insights, especially if we start bringing AI, maybe even like data scientists into the picture. So we actually did this for our clients, kind of some of the data you're seeing there on the right, where we used AI to perform various different types of analytics based on a really well thought out survey that we deployed, ultimately allowing us to discern whether a new sales training program was statistically significant in terms of the improvements compared to the old program that they had in place. So we could use these tools to get really rich insights in terms of the return on investment for the business at speed. And you can do this, of course, yourself. You can also even partner with data scientists or expert agencies, organizations that really can enhance survey design and analysis to make it conducive to getting these types of insights. You can also incorporate tools like Power BI or ThoughtSpot to create dynamic dashboards and just better allow the integration of data sources like coaching reports or manager reports to deepen the insights that you're getting and, again, ultimately driving learning impact. The second option here is to begin forming strong relationships with your stakeholders. So obviously this is something we always talk about, whether you're in learning, marketing, sales, or what have you, but it is really important to have the conversations and really agree on what metrics are important to the business. And don't assume, ask. You might be surprised by the answer. So your goal here is to walk away with a very clear direction or even an approach on how you're going to actually assess whether or not a behavioral change has happened. And ideally, you want it to be within reach of what you're currently doing, current learning assessments or current technology that you have. And then the last option here is focus more on the platforms that you have or your team uses. So whether you're using tools like Acto or Cognota or really any of the new learning tools and platforms that are out there, many of them already provide things like adaptive personalized learning, impact dashboards, got ROI calculators built in for more of the learning operations side, and much, much more. So make sure you know what's available to you, either with the systems that you already have, or start exploring new systems that are out there, and just make sure you're truly using them to their full potential. And if you're not sure about what exists out there, or maybe you have a platform and you don't really see the analytics you quite need, again, just ask your partners, get their expertise. A lot of these platforms are in the process of evolving their ability to personalize the experience, not just for the learner, but also for you and the learning operations and learning functions that are happening. And then one last recommendation that is not optional, because you are all L&D professionals attending this session, I assume. So I'm sure you're aware of how important this last recommendation is, which is to keep learning. So what you're seeing here on the screen is some research from Red Thread, where they polled about 500 L&D professionals. And we already know that as learning professionals, we do need to evolve our skills to meet the demands of data-driven learning. So based on this research, you'll see the top two skill areas here are using or applying AI, and then skills around data and data-driven learning. And many of the other bubbles that you see, things like business acumen or consulting, also apply to this future that we're striving for. So all that to say, I offer you 3 next steps that I believe are within reach. The first is data fluency. This is a very important skill that elevates, learning leaders, learning functions to become strategic business partners. And by reimagining learning as a data-powered engine, teams can really drive measurable impact for the business. And then lastly, just reflect on where your team stands on the data fluency continuum. Maybe talk to people, talk to IT, talk to your cross-functional partners, and identify what the next steps might be to advance. The future certainly favors those who can master data in order to deliver on those business outcomes. So thank you so much for attending this talk. If you're curious to learn more, or maybe you don't quite know where to begin, I encourage you to get in touch with us. We're happy to have a conversation. Our approach here at Metrix really blends innovative engagement methods for learners, practical application, ongoing reinforcement, and really rigorous measurement in order to maximize learning impact. So we do offer everything from strategic consultation services, including needs assessments, roadmaps, sales training strategies. We can design training programs that support product launches, sales meetings, onboarding, leadership development, and of course can cover a wide range of content areas too. So if you'd like to connect with us, you can visit our website. The URL is there on the screen, or you can reach out directly to me using my email address, or just scan the QR code to connect on LinkedIn. We definitely would love to continue the conversation. So thank you.